So we talked about Nissan and the Leaf and how I had one way back when, and actually from 2011 to 2018. So not all that back when, but the CEO was Carlos Ghosn back then, and he was CEO at Nissan and Renault. He was CEO and president, and then he was also the chairman at Mitsubishi. So these three had an alliance where they each owned some of each other's stock. And Nissan was in a really bad spot when Ghosn came in, and he cut costs. They had redundant models. He simplified all of that and really saved the company from bankruptcy. And then, when was it? Last year sometime, I think it was. Suddenly he's arrested, and he's accused of several crimes, using company money for his own personal gain, and he's arrested. He's under house arrest in Japan, and he's claiming that this is all just to oust him from the company, and that he wanted to increase that alliance between Renault and Nissan, and there were people in Japan who did not like that idea at all. They thought that this was a Japanese company and needed to stay a Japanese company, and that he had done what they needed to get the company up and going again, and now he should just move on. And so he claimed that whole getting him arrested was just internal strife and politics, and that he would be exonerated of it. But if you started looking at the Japanese court system, has a very, very high conviction rate. It's in the 90%. So if you get to the stage he was at, you're most likely going to jail. And so he escaped. And all the details about how he got out of the country haven't come to light yet. But it looks like he was smuggled out in some kind of musical instrument case, right, and flew to Lebanon. And, yeah, so then he did a press release in Lebanon after he had escaped Japan, and I guess he's still wanted there, but he wouldn't be extradited. And yeah, there's this all is going to be a great movie at some point in the future. And so this has kind of died down out of the news until now. It's back in the news because as part of this investigation, I guess some emails have come out that where they have found some Nissan executives planning how they're going to get rid of Ghosn, and scouring all his transactions and other things to try to dig up dirt on him. And so from what Bloomberg is reporting and others are reporting, it looks like some of what he said might be true, and it'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
So somebody pointed out to me that a company as large as Nissan and somebody in his position, they generally don't have direct access into the cash. Generally, you've got to go through accounting at some level. And so they said early on that this seemed suspect. And now that this has come out, and when you add in that logical, like, yeah, whenever, even at much smaller companies, you want to get a check, you got to get 3 people to sign it. It's got to go through accounting. It's like, come on.
Right. And if you really did want to get rid of somebody, you could, in this next compensation package, we give in these options, and guess what? They're backdated, and if you didn't notice and he accepted them, we've got him. I mean, who knows what he's actually guilty of and what he was framed for, and it's pretty exciting.
Yeah. One other thing I'll throw in is that Lebanon is not in the greatest financial straits, never have been. They have also been supported by the Japanese government nationwide. Funds have moved from Japan to Lebanon for certain things. Apparently, Japan had started to lock down money going to Lebanon because of the non-extradition, that they could never get this executive back, and they were starting to apply pressure that way as well. So I don't know how far that went, but that was a news story about 4 weeks ago.
So is it all this to just save a golden parachute, like kick him out without having to?
I think. I think the prosecutor in Japan obviously believes they have a case, and they were going to, like Patrick said, that they're pretty strong on convictions once you're in the system.
Yeah, but I mean,
They must have been really upset and have egg on their face that this guy got out of the country inside a musical case from his house.
Yeah.
So
I understand why Japan might want to catch him back, but I meant like the fact that Nissan put him up like this way. Would it have been to save a few dollars on getting rid of him a normal way?
Well, as Russell was saying, though, the actual Nissan, some people there were feeling that they were stepping on their rights as a Japanese company. Yeah. There was going to be a merging that was going to happen to dilute the Japanese out of Nissan. They didn't want that to happen.
Yeah. I'm gonna stand on that because I'm gonna say no. If he was willing to take a golden parachute and say sayonara, I'm going back to Renault, and we can have this very loose partnership, I think they would have been okay. There's a level of xenophobia in Japan.
And he's an outsider. He's an outsider for sure.
He's an outsider. I mean, you got to ask people like I think the past Miss Japan, who's Black and Japanese. Talk to people like the Ainu, the indigenous people, where it comes to Japan and anybody not enough Japanese. Even ask some of the people who are maybe Nisei here in America and what it feels like to go back. So I'm looking at that and I'm like, I'm thinking some of the egg might also be that, oh, hey, we got manipulated by the internal executives and an attempt to protect what is essentially a long-standing Japanese company that has been there for a good long while, and that was going to turn into this French-Japanese hybrid and change the culture of the company and change the leadership. And it's essentially like, no, this is a Japanese place, and we can't get rid of him because he's not doing a bad job. Oh. So let's pretend that he was doing a crooked job. And I mean, I'm like, well, if I went to Japan and found up, taking over a soy sauce company that had been there for like 200 or 300 years, guess what? There's going to be a lot of knives sticking out of my back, even if I saved their asses. But I decided that I wanted to hybridize them with some kind. Well, okay, I'm Jamaican. Maybe pick a pepper with soy sauce hybrid. And oh no, we should be more Jamaican Japanese. And it's like, no, in a way, it's a sad thing because I'm kind of going, wait, so he wasn't given some kind of loan that he didn't have to pay back and it was forgiven? Because let's all go over some CEO compensation packages that are very typical in the US, where they can get big loans from the company, and then when they golden parachute to hell on out, oh, we don't need that $750,000 back you used to buy a house. Take that. We're good. Just wrap that up. And I'm pretty excited at the idea of arresting them for that. But in this case, I think we're going to have to wait until we actually see if there's real proof that he had some financial misdeeds happening. Because you guys made great points that, yes, they're not normal. This isn't a small company where he could write himself a check and forge something and create a fake invoice for something he paid and then he pockets it. This is a multinational company worth billions. So where's the proof that he had financial misdeeds? It's looking a little xenophobia happening right there. But again, great movie. I'm excited to see who just decides to direct it.
Oh, I'd watch it.
Maybe not even fall asleep in the middle.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope it's not a documentary. I love documentaries, but that one just didn't do the trick for some reason.
Ouch.